Hey everyone, and welcome to the Don't Overthink It podcast. I am your host Donny, and as always, I am joined by our co-host Irish.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Today we would like to welcome in Killer Clown of Al Mazrah. He's one of the best DMZ content creators. It's Yolando. Welcome to the Don't Overthink It podcast, Lando.
What's going on? How we doing? I'm excited to be here. So yeah, ask away. Anything you want to know?
I was nervous about reaching out and asking you. I was like, man, I don't know if I should, but I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna ask him to see what he says, bro. Worst he could do is say no.
I'm pretty open. I'm willing to do stuff. I mean, I stream every single night almost, so I'm used to talking for a long amount of time. So I should be good to go.
All right. So with you saying that right there, that'll just lead us right into the conversation on what it was that drove you towards streaming. I mean, I'm sure you were already a gamer anyway, because I've been watching you for a long time, so I know kind of your story. But for those that don't know, what led you down the route that you're on right now?
Well, I can lead you back to. Let's go back even earlier. I've been gaming for a long time. My first console was a PlayStation 2. I got that in the early 2000s. Started playing Call of Duty. That was actually the first game I got for it. Was the early Call of Duties. Started playing those. And, I've been playing Call of Duty for a long time. I actually had really bad internet. So YouTube and streaming things, even as they got bigger later on in the years, I never really do much with it because I just didn't have the internet bandwidth to do it. I had really bad internet. I would say streaming got pretty big. Not me, but like streaming in general was getting pretty big around like the Call of Duty 2019 area. And I still had bad internet at the time, but I knew about streamers. I knew what was going on. I knew Ninja, from Fortnite. He was a really big streamer at the time too. And, I knew it was something that like I would be interested in maybe just trying out, just some buddies to watch. And, it was just something I couldn't do because my internet problems. But eventually I ended up getting better internet. And I had some buddies, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 came around. And they were like, hey, man, we want to watch you play some DMZ while we're busy doing this with the kids, or maybe I'm at work one day and I can watch you. I was like, okay, I've never really, I've not really streamed much at this point. Maybe like threw up a couple streams with some buddies that, here and there. But I was like, okay, I'll start a channel on YouTube and maybe we'll do some streaming. I know we had options with Twitch and YouTube, but I like the quality feature of YouTube. It has better quality and you can go back and replay clips and stuff on the fly. So I was like, let's do it. And that's where we started. We started with zero, well, not technically zero viewers, but we started with two or three people that would watch, maybe and the people that were watching were really me on my phone and the background, and then my buddy Merc and maybe Squid or JTB Wolf or somebody like that. A couple buddies, they'd pull it up and just watch us because that was the main game then. So, there wasn't nothing else to really watch besides me play, and that's how we started.
Yeah, I know from, like I said, from watching you for so long now, I kind of know your story, but I knew Call of Duty was the first game that you played. I've heard you say that plenty of times, but I never knew that DMZ itself was like your first, introduction to streaming. I would just always assumed it might have been one of the, the older Call of Duties or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to get technical, I would say I had streamed some Warzone before then, like over on Twitch a couple times. But I mean, when I say that, I had like less than 50 followers, and the people that watched me were pretty much all people that were in a Discord that I knew, that were people we had met, playing Warzone. And that was, I really wouldn't say that wouldn't be the start of my streaming career, because I just, like I said, I wasn't like a serious thing, and it was just like here and there. I didn't really start, if you want to consider a career, the streaming part until DMZ. That's when I started taking it more serious.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Lando, what inspired you to get the clown wig and a horn and to take on the persona of a clown character?
Honestly, that story is asked a lot to me when I stream, and it's actually pretty simple. For anybody that's ever played DMZ, that you come in with a one plate, and that's just like most characters, that's what you have, unless you have like a pay to win bundle, right? So I just knew that having a one plate wasn't it. That you die very fast with that. So I was like, okay, what bundles? If I was going to buy a bundle, because even to this day, I'm not someone that really spent money on bundles. If I was going to buy one, what would it be? And the clown had just came out, and I actually had really liked it because he had that big bag of like duffel bag of money, and it looked like he had like robbed a bank or something. I was like, that's kind of cool. I like that because it kind of had that inspiration from maybe the movie like the Dark Knight, the Batman one with the Joker. It just kind of had that feel to it. I was like, okay, that's cool. I like that Joker feel. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna buy it. So I bought it, and he has the 2-plate, and I just kind of exclusively ran him because even if I got wiped, I knew I was coming back in with a 2-plate no matter what. So, you know, that was my main character, and I ran it for months. Now, the clown wig and all that stuff that wasn't there yet, but I was running the clown for a while. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, I don't know who it was, and shout out to whoever it was, but maybe it could have been a group of people, but some people in chat kind of came up with the idea, like, maybe you should get some clown hair. Like, I think maybe I'd asked the question, like, man, what's something I could do with my channel? That'd be kind of cool. And, you know, somebody mentioned the clown hair because I used the clown.
Yeah, like you said, I'm sure it was a collective bunch of people that said it, but I do remember Pop Tart always telling you to get
okay, yeah, well, then it might have been Pop Tart, but yeah, definitely. Whoever it was, shout out. Actually, no joke, I know that's a little sidetrack. I think doing the clown hair was probably one of the best things I could do for my channel, because something you'll hear if you ever look up and you're trying to grow your channel, and even for this podcast, this might help you out. You kind of have to have a little bit of a unique situation. Don't get me wrong. I think there are people out there that, you know, they can make it without having some uniqueness, but if it really does help to have that little factor of like, to help you remember, like, hey, you remember that Yolando guy that streams on YouTube? Yeah, he's got clown hair. Like, that's just, he uses a clown, and it's easy to remember. Something that's easy to remember. It gets in their brain, and it's, you know, it's something they can think about. But just it showed Lando by itself, you know, it was, I needed something a little special.
Yeah, because I remember when I came along and I found you, I think you were probably like a little over 2,000.
Okay, you caught me pretty far in there,
yeah. Because I didn't, you know, I've told this story many times on this podcast and in my streams or whatever, that, you know, I didn't even know this whole thing was a thing. I was just oblivious to it. I've heard it like Ninja, like you said. I've heard of them people, but I just never really put it together that there was a community of DMZ until I got killed by Demon on Ashika, and they told me he was a streamer. I looked him up, and then through him, I found, you know, everybody else. Yeah. So that's when I started, like, now it's to the point now where that's basically all I ever watch is just streams. I don't watch anything else.
Yeah, entertainment. I get you.
So, But now you're like, what, over 7?
Yeah, as of this recording, I think we're around 7,300 on my main channel. But a lot of people don't know I have a second channel also, which it's the same thing. It's just videos of, you know, for me playing, and it's coming up toward 2,000. So collectively, we're closing in. We're over 9,000 collectively.
That is insane, bro. Does it become like overwhelming?
You know, when I was smaller, the big thing that I used to tell people was no matter how much we grew, I would always I would try to treat everyone that watched me like a person, and, you know, and try to read as many comments as possible. Because, like, that's just me. I'm super, if anybody ever watches me, I really try to tell people, don't come watch me for the gameplay. Watch me for the entertainment value and the people person. I like to talk to people. You know, I can talk my head off about anything. A lot of, you know, number one topic probably on the channel is food. We like to talk about food here. But, you know, I'll just talk to people. And that was a big thing that I think that really helped me grow too, was if you came in and you might even start talking about the game, I would sidetrack you off. We'd start talking about food or something else, you know, the weather. And I could get you in a conversation that made you feel like you were my buddy, you were my friend. So that would bring you back. You know, it wasn't just like, hey, I'm going to watch Lando because he's a good player. And there's no, Lando talks to us about all kind of stuff. You know, he talks about what's going on that day, what he had to eat. He asked me what I had to eat that night, and like family, you know, just stuff they'd want to share. So it made it feel like I said, it was more of like a people person type deal.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say, I'll give you the credit where credit is due. You are probably, of who I watch anyway, by far the most attentive to chat than anybody and how you are able to do it as well as you do it with how many people you have in there. I just can't get it, bro, because I've been lucky enough to been, rated by you, and you send everybody over to my way, and not everybody comes over, so having 30 in there, trying to keep up with that is like, oh my God, bro. And you'll have 400, 500 people watching. That's insane.
It can be a lot, and it honestly, it happened fast relatively, but there was definitely, I talk about it all the time. I remember when I started out and not having, like I said, I had a couple people watching, and it was just me and my buddies that were watching on their phone. Like, I remember playing with Dax Mergt. I call him Dax, that's his name. In DMZ, and like we'd be playing, and he would be like responding to people in the chat. Like, hey, it was like, for example, Squid might hop in, or Nova Bob was back then. I'm sure you're gonna ask this at some point, but Nova Bob and Bust, I'm pretty sure both found my channel before I had like. There was no way I had more than like 100 or 200 subs, and he'd be in there responding to him, be like, "Hey man, what's going? How you doing today? What's going on?" And that's how we talk. That's crazy to think about now that I had somebody playing with me, responding to people in chat. Because I went back and pulled it up on my stream. You could go through like a 4-hour live stream, and it'd be 10 messages. That was a thing, and it's not that been. It's really not been that long ago.
Yeah. Congratulations, bro. You deserve it. Just, like I said, I've been watching long enough that I've gotten to know you pretty good. You're a humble person, genuine guy. So I'm happy to see all the growth that you got.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a lot, but at the same time, I don't like I said, I don't overlook it for sure. I definitely knew where I know where I started, and I always will. It's not like I'm gonna just keep growing and be like, oh yeah, I don't remember those days. No, I do. And it's just part of the process. So it's just growing pains, and everyone that's out there trying to maybe grow a channel or something like that, you just got to figure some things out and see what you're doing wrong. Because I was doing stuff wrong too, and I still do stuff wrong today. It's just part of it. It's just part about growing.
Yeah, I'm sure I do things wrong. My biggest thing is just consistency, because of real life, dude.
Consistency is a big deal. It's a big thing.
Yeah, real life just makes it hard for me sometimes.
Yeah.
People, not much I can do about that.
I had pulled it up because when I first started, at the time, I was taking screenshots of my YouTube account just to see because I always knew in the future I'd want to go back and look at it, and I'm glad I did. Just for reference, today's January, so I can go back and look. In January, I don't actually have anything because we had some renovation going on at the house, but basically toward the end of the year last year, I had about 1,300 subs roughly in December of 2020, 2020, technically 2023. So I know we're in 2025, but we just started. So yeah, it's been a lot. It's definitely a lot of growth. A lot of people have found me, but at the same time, that kind of goes into what I'd like to say is a lot of people will see my channel and other people's channels, even a lot bigger than me, and they'll be like, man, that'd be awesome to have 200, 300, 400 people watching at one time. But they don't see the fact that I've streamed every single night for well over a year, pretty much, for at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Last night I did 10 hours on stream. So when you do that every single night, almost, you definitely. There's a lot of time invested. It's not like a snap of the fingers or someone rated me and it happened. It definitely builds up.
Yeah, because that exactly what you're saying happened to me the other night. Well, the last day that I streamed, I was going to get off, and then Noodle raided me. I'm like, well, hold on, man, I got to go a little bit longer because I don't want these people to come in. And I played one game and ended. So we went a little longer, and then you and Cappy both raided me, and I'm like, okay, well, we're going to go a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I ended up going 9 hours or something like that.
Yeah. It's a process, but like I said, it just takes time. It takes time for sure.
But I will say, when you're playing and streaming and all that stuff like that, the time don't really seem like it's that long. When I hit end broadcast or whatever, and it comes up and it tells me the time, I'm like, really?
Dang.
I did 9 hours, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of it, for sure. No, I mean, that's it. I mean, I agree 100% with what he's saying. I mean, it depends on the night, too. Like, some nights are definitely faster than others. Depends on how our games go or what's going on. But, yeah, I agree. It does go by fast a lot of the time.
Lando, I have watched you for quite some time, and what I enjoy the most is how you are able to interact with your audience, keep their attention, and make everybody feel welcome, and still be able to perform at the level that you do. How do you connect so well?
Yeah, and that's what I was hearing to say. Yeah, that's what I was hearing to say. Your chat is by far probably the most active and, like, you know, I don't know. Well, I mean, they're all active in their own way, but with yours, it's like there's like, I don't know, everybody meshes. Every once in a while, you got some fool who comes in and wants to act crazy, but for the most part, everybody kind of like, you know, gets along with each other and speaks to each other and all that stuff like that. And I think that's cool.
I noticed that too. Even early on, way before I had a lot of, you know, what I would consider what a lot of viewers nowadays, but I noticed that my chat was very active. I think a lot of that goes back to the way the way I am with my chat, and that is being, I call it proactive. You just ask questions that you get people to answer. It's not just me sitting there playing. It's me asking, hey, you know, for example, hey, Donny, what's going on today? What'd you have for dinner? And then that leads Irish to pop in and say, hey, Donny, I don't like what you just said. This is better. And then there's an argument that proceeds. But then we switch back over and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I like this food. Or like, you know, it snowballs. And I noticed, like, when you in broadcast, you can see your chat rate and you can see the total messages. And I noticed, like, even early on, I had just, like, you know, I had built up a little bit of an audience. Like, I'd have like 1,000 messages, 2,000 messages. And I was like, man, that's insane for the little amount of viewers that I've got that many messages. And it was just because I was talking to people. And, you know, it would snowball into something.
And I've noticed that, you know, a lot of times in your chat, there'll be like several different conversations going on
at the same time. Yeah, it's hard to keep up.
With different people in the chat. Like, you know, this guy and this guy will be talking to each other back and forth, and then these two people are talking, and then this person's talking back to you on the question that you asked. And I'm like, man, what is happening?
It's a lot going on. It is. It's definitely, especially from my point of view, because, you know, it's really hard if I'm playing with people. If I'm playing with like a group, if it's me and 2 other people playing DMZ as a squad, and I'm having to give them comms and they're giving me comms, something's crazy's going on, and then I'm trying to keep up with chat, and then people are talking to me, like, I'll come back and say something stupid, and I'll be like, wait a minute, that didn't make any sense because I'm trying to focus too many things at one time. But it's just part of it. You know, it is what it is. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, all the time, you know, it's just a game. Have fun.
Yeah,
you know, if you can't,
for sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, some people get crazy and take it too
They
seriously.
do.
It needs to be.
And for me, like I said, it's not even so much just the game. Like, I get on nowadays, honestly, just to, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love DMZ and DMZ is awesome, but with the current state that it's in right now in 2025, I get on honestly for the chat. Like, I get on and just talk because I see the same faces. I'm like, hey, I want to ask you something. Like, because you told me something yesterday. And, you know, we go back because food's a huge topic here. And I'd be like, hey, did you eat what you said you was going to fix today? Or was you know, was the bad weather? Or, you know, you might be telling me a story about something's going on in your life and I'll ask you about it. And that's what I really look forward to, honestly, more than even the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense.
If somebody was to have a bad day, let's say at work or something, and they came into your chat and said, Lando, I need some.
Yep. 100%. I preach that on my channel. People really overlook that. Yeah, 100%. I preach that on my channel because there's so many. I see that as a viewer. Like, I'll go into somebody's stream and, you know, nobody specific, but it'll be just like, they'll just be playing, and, you know, there'll just be people in there talking, and they might even say something to the extent of what you're talking about. You don't know what's happened that day, but they'll be like, oh man, that's bad, you know, that doesn't sound good, and then they just move on. And it's just like, man, like, now don't get me wrong, like, I know nobody's perfect and I've done the same thing, but I try my best to, like, kind of lead more into it, or at least change the topic to something else, you know, to just to get something moving, you know. I think it does help. I really do. I think it helps a lot of people that don't even comment in the in the chat.
Yeah. Because, I mean, there's always somebody watching that just don't come in and chat with people.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a lot.
It has to be. I mean,
I don't, this is not really on the same topic, but it is. But it's just one of the craziest things that I wouldn't say I've seen recently, because it's been like this for a while, but something that just blew my mind the other night. I don't know what night it was. It was one night, I had scheduled my stream and I hadn't went live. And I went upstairs to go get dinner because I had like a 45-minute buffer or an hour or whatever. And I walked back downstairs and it was like 5 or 10 minutes left before the stream started. And I had like 25 people waiting before I even went live. It's like 25, 30. And I was like, dude, that's insane. I've got 30 people waiting for me to go live. Like, I hadn't been rated. Nothing had been happening. All I did was send out a Discord notification and I put the go live, it's posted up on YouTube, and I had 30 people in there ready for me to hit the live button. And they're like, let's go, Lando. We're excited. And then like, I think shout out, I think one of them, maybe it was Heather or somebody. She's got some kids that watch with her. She was like, yeah, my kids love you, Lando. Like, we're excited for tonight. I'm like, what? It's just crazy to think about. Yeah.
I mean, that is,
that's wild.
That's gotta be like, I'm trying to think of what the right word would be, as far as like your, telling you, okay, I'm doing something right here,
Yeah, 100%. Oh, it does. It tells you like, hey man, I've built a fan base, and it kind of makes reassurance to me going forward with my channel, because I try to tell people, like, you never know what'll happen with DMZ currently in its state. Like, I mean, I hope nothing happens to it, because I do like the game, but hypothetically, if something did, I feel like I've got enough of a core fan base that just watch me for the hospitality feature, for that, and just the funny, fun stuff we do, that I could just kind of do whatever I wanted and still have a good little fan base that would watch regardless,
Yeah.
Whatever I had to do. Yeah, 100%. And I was scared about that for a while, because not to jump too far ahead in the podcast, because I'm sure you might ask about this, but at some point I made a decision that like YouTube was going to be, I mean, I was making enough revenue and stuff from it that I could do it as a career. Like, it was a legitimate thing. And when you're on that like teeter totter of like, hey, is this actually a thing? Like, can we do this? Then with DMZ getting the news of like, hey, we're not going to support this anymore, I'm like, dang man, do I want to commit? Like, I've got a good following, but do I want to put all my eggs in a basket? Because like, I would just, it could definitely fall apart, pretty quickly.
Yeah, so, I mean, right, go ahead.
If for some reason DMZ was to go away, cross your fingers it doesn't, but if it did, what would you do next? What other games are there?
Well, considering with this channel that I've built up a Call of Duty fan base, and that's a game mode that I've played for years. I've played it for, coming up on 20 years now. There's big things with Call of Duty. I don't see Call of Duty going anywhere in the future. It's been here pretty much my whole life. And my fan base is a Call of Duty fan base. I know they're specifically DMZ, but a lot of people, they like Call of Duty, whether they don't like they might not like the new game out now, but they probably will in the future at some point. I would probably stay with Call of Duty. There would be some pains in there because not everybody really likes what's currently out, but that's just the way it goes. I've been around long enough to see it go up and down with the different games. Like, hey, I don't like this game, but then I like this one. It's just part of it. And it being free to play, at least at some option, and it's on console, I think that would probably just be the best option right now.
Yeah, so it'll just always stay Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like other games, and I think if I ever wanted to branch out and play some other games, I would just do a little second channel, and if people wanted to watch me on there, they could, and it didn't really affect anybody that wanted to watch the main one.
All right, so with DMZ being abandoned, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I've heard you say this quote so many times that I even say it now that it's a dead game.
Yeah,
we choose to play it.
We choose to play it. We do.
Okay, so here's my question to you. I've asked a bunch of people. I've thought about this myself on what my answers would be if Lando was Activision. You had the sole decision on, okay, DMZ is going to become this. what would you like to see in the next DMZ or an update for DMZ or whatever the road goes? What would you like to see happen?
Well, I talked about this on my stream a lot, and at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a business. So realistically, and this is the way they've done with all their other games, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but this is what I see them doing in the future, is they're always going to come out with a new version. They do it with Warzone. They've done it with every other Call of Duty. It might be the same type of game, but it's a new version. And that's just to get you in that paywall. They want you to spend that $60-$70 every year. Because whether you look at it, whether you're going to do it, they know a huge portion of their fan base is going to pay it to get those features. So I do think the likelihood of another DMZ coming in the future is there, 100%. It would probably be with Infinity Ward's game, which is, I think, 2026. So we're over a year out still. I know a lot of people that don't like that like the game now, I think are going to have a hard time comprehending this, but I really think that Call of Duty is going to try to bridge that gap between the current mode and like a Delta Force, more tactical and more strategic extraction shooter. I mean, they know their fan base, they know it's casual, so they're not going to go crazy or nothing, but I think it will have a lot more similarities with Delta Force and the way they're running things, and just because there's more depth there of what's currently with DMZ. I think DMZ nowadays didn't have the depth, and there was some mechanics that maybe the devs just didn't 100% agree on going forward to. I'm not saying that's why it got shut down or nothing, but I think going forward in the future, I think we do see a return. Now, whether it's called DMZ or what, I don't know, but an extraction mode, yeah, for sure.
I mean, and I've watched gameplay of Delta Force, and it's not a bad game. It's just a very slow game.
It's very slow. Yeah, 100% agree. And like I said, I'm not saying Call of Duty is going to copy paste that, but I definitely don't think that. I just think that it'll share some more features. When I say features, I'm talking about like a marketplace where you can buy and sell things, a more expanded upon inventory where you can hoard items and stuff, like just more depth. There's more depth to it that keeps you coming back to play, because at the end of the day, they want you to come back and play more. Right. And the problem with that is nowadays the people that play DMZ, including me, they play it. Majority of us, realistically, played the game back when there was updates, missions, things to do. But since that's gone, there's really nothing left to do besides just try to kill each other. Yeah. So as fun as that is, and I like it, don't get me wrong, it's fun to go on there and just PvP. I mean, that's what I do almost every night, just for clips and get, for fun, because I'm left with nothing else to do. Realistically, an extraction shooter should have missions and objectives and an inventory. You know what I'm saying? There's just a lot more depth to it. And I think the people that are currently playing it now are going to be up for a rude awakening if a new one comes out, and it's not just going to be just PvP.
Yeah. Clickbait, man.
Clickbait. Yeah, it's clickbait.
Yeah, to me, from what I've seen, Delta Force would be more compared to Tarkov than DMZ by far.
Correct. Yeah.
But leaning into what you were saying with the next DMZ, I would be okay with that, with the, little sale and stuff. And
market.
And all that type. I think that would be awesome. But I hope that they don't try to duplicate Delta Force, and have because the looting system in Delta Force
that's going. Yeah, I don't want people to take what I said. I definitely do not think at all it will be a copy of Delta Force. And to what you're saying, Delta Force is definitely more like Tarkov than DMZ. I think the only thing, because I've played Delta Force and I've played Tarkov and I've played DMZ, the only thing that I would say is maybe a little bit more comparable when you're comparing the DMZ and Delta Force is the way it's kind of got this arcadey gunplay. It feels a little bit more arcadey, whereas like on the extreme end, Tarkov's more like mil-sim realistic, like gunplay. Like it's good, but it's more mil-sim. And Delta Force kind of bridges the gap in between that. And then obviously on the bottom tier, you would have DMZ. It's just like it's an arcade shooter. That's what Call of Duty's always been. And that's what people love it for. You know, they love being able to jump off high rise and throw 9 people out of the air and parachute and, you know, drive around in cars and shoot out the, you know, it's an arcade shooter. People like that.
Yeah, so Delta Force is the baby of DMZ, and Tarkov just leans more toward, you know, if the features are more towards Tarkov.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely more like Tarkov than DMZ. The biggest problem when people say it's the next DMZ, I've always, you know, as I've been playing DMZ over the course of, you know, years now, I've had so many games come in and tell me, hey man, this game coming out is going to be the new DMZ. For example, Gray's on, Delta Force now, and I'm sure there'll be another one. The problem with all those it's pretty simple for me. It's not on console, and it's not free to play. So when you don't have those two things in there, they're not even like in the remote category, because DMZ's on console and it's free to play. So it doesn't have any competition. At least currently, as of today, January 2025, there is absolutely no competition on console, and I don't see competition coming to console at least anytime soon.
I mean, yeah, because like you said, I mean, there's going to be a huge portion of the, you know, Call of Duty community that are going to buy every game that comes out,
right?
No matter what. So these new games that are coming out, you know, best of luck to them. I mean, I don't want to trash any of them. Everybody's entitled to play, you know, what they want and like what they like and all that stuff like that. That's fine. But to label things, oh, this is this killer, that's just crazy to me. But I feel like Call of Duty has such a strong like history to where it's going to be kind of hard for anything. There
is none. To be honest with you, unless something comes out in the future. I've been around for 20 years. I've heard playing Call of Duty. I've heard every game in the book say that this game's going to beat it. You can even go back to Halo. You can go to Battlefield. I remember Homefront was a big one. They said it was going to kill it. X-Defiant was coming out with their free-to-play thing recently, and if you go back and look at it now, I mean, how all those games now are pretty much done for. I mean, Halo kind of went down the drain. Battlefield fell apart with their new one, their 2042, whatever it was called. You know, X-Defiant, I think, shutting down. Call of Duty has such a monopoly on the first-person shooter genre, at least and I can't say this enough, for the console community. On PC, there's a lot of games out there to choose from, and I think that player base is a lot more diverse in what they play. But on console, man, it's pretty simple. I mean, Call of Duty is super, super casual friendly. You sit down, it's got aim assist, you sit on your couch, you can play back and shoot people on your couch, on your controller, and it's just easy to play. It's easy to pick up, easy to play. You don't have to go through a billion settings, hopefully, just to click, you know, a button and shoot somebody. Back to what you're saying with Delta Force being kind of clunky with the backpack system. I mean, Call of Duty don't really, you know, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's definitely clunky sometimes, but it's simple, and that's why people like it. It's got a simple system, it works, and they have a free-to-play option.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
You have grown pretty quickly as a content creator. What advice would you give to other upcoming content creators?
I think realistically is from a player-based perspective of like what kind of game they're going for. And it goes back to a game that's already probably currently out. Like you can even take example for Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty, in my opinion, is always, and I would say for the future also, will be a console majority game. Majority people, and I don't have stats to back this up. I'm just saying from what I see, people in my chat, from the years of playing, it's just a console game. Majority of players that play it are on console. So if you are Call of Duty, then most of your resources are going to go to help support people that play on console. Don't get me wrong, they have options to play on PC too, and I even play on PC currently. But they've got to make sure that if they're getting most of their money from that source, then that's where they need to keep their support at. If, for example, like you say Delta Force or Tarkov, those games were kind of built the ground up, and I would say the extraction genre specifically is it's from a PC perspective. Because like I said, there's no real games on console, at least currently, that are extraction shooters. They bridge the gap. You can even go back to I'll bring it back to Call of Duty. several years ago, there was a game that came out called H1Z1. It was a battle royale, and it was really like a subset off another game. I don't know the exact, specifics on that, but it was a battle royale, and it took the gaming scene by storm. People were like, man, I like this. This new game mode. It's called battle royale. It's new. You fight with the gas closes in, and there was a lot of games that started spreading off that. PUBG came out. It came to console. That was really PUBG, Fortnite were like the two big battle royales that were the first on console that were like a big thing. I remember when Fortnite first came out, it was like a big deal because like I'd never really played much of a battle royale until Fortnite and PUBG. I mean, I'd never heard of it because it was always on PC. It was H1Z1. I didn't really have a PC then, so that was my first time ever playing it. And
I couldn't ever get into Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother topic. That Fortnite back then was definitely not Fortnite like it is today.
Yeah, because now they have like a build.
To be honest with you, Fortnite today is, I think of Disney. I don't know why, but it just screams like Disney. Yeah. Just lots of I don't want to say it, but it is. I feel like it's just really centered around younger audiences, and they know why. I mean, it's definitely for revenue reasons. But I don't blame them. But I'm just saying, back then it wasn't. It didn't have that feel, at least.
Yeah, it's just never been the game I can get it.
And that's fine.
My daughter she loves it. She plays it all. Her and her cousin play it all the time. Yeah. And I'm like,
But that goes back to being free to play, super simple to play, easy. And then they get you with all those emotes and dances and skins.
Every year for Christmas, it was, can you get me V-Bucks?
V-Bucks. Yeah. So I can get my new skin and my dance. Yeah. 100%. I get it.
Yeah.
Definitely early on, there was a lot of like trial and error. Like I would do something and then I would look at it later on. I'd be like, man, like I messed up. Maybe I should have did this differently or maybe that differently. And even break down to simple. I mean, you can break down the titles, thumbnails, editing, like all those categories. Like I would see a video that had a lot of potential. And even to this day, be like, man, if I would have just took some more time on that video and really edited it, did a better thumbnail and just took time on it, I think it would have done a lot better. Instead of just rushing things. I've always said that. You get some clips or you do something cool and you're like, man, I got to pump this out. I got to put it out. It's like, man, what if I just waited and actually sat down and really worked at it and tried to break it down to something better? I think it would have done better. I mean, that's some little stuff, but early on there was like a lot of trial and error. Like, I would upload something, it would do really bad. And I would just delete it and be like, oh man, that was a terrible idea. But reality, it might have been an okay idea. I just didn't take the time to really put it in thought.
It sounds to me like patience and like strategy.
YouTube is a lot of strategy. Don't get me wrong. There's luck. There's definitely luck for sure. But a lot of strategy stuff. I wish I could have went, I know that's not really what the question was, but I wish I could have went back and, did some things differently. And there was just some big learning curves for me. Big learning curves that took a while for me to realize, like, hey man, like this is not working. We got to fix it. Early on, you see some of the mistakes. You're like, man, I wish I'd have did this different.
Now, like we were talking about PlayStation, Xbox, PC. Okay, yep. I know currently you play PC.
Mm-hmm. Did not start that way.
Yeah.
No.
Now, do you prefer PC because of streaming? It just makes it easier, or do you prefer PC overall in general?
I think it's pretty simple, honestly, in my book, because I've played all the consoles. I've legit had them. Well, when I say all the consoles, I'm talking about, I've had a lot of the since I've been alive, I've had most of them. I've had the Xbox One, the 360, the Series X, the Series S. I've had the PS5, the PS4, the PS3. I've had pretty much all those. PS2. In reality, I played on console for years. I didn't switch to PC until for Dance Warzone. And the reason I switched is because a lot of the times I wasn't into streaming at the time, but I knew some streamers and they were kind of getting onto the PC thing, and they were all preaching about how good it looked and how like the game played better. And I was like, man, that's kind of cool. I'd want to do that. And I went to school for a little bit on computers. So I mean, I was into computer that genre anyways, but I built a computer for Verdansk, and it was cheap. I mean, I went cheap and bought I built like a, for a gaming computer, it was pretty cheap. It was like $700 for a gaming computer. And for reference, like a regular computer, if you go out and buy one, not a gaming one's like $500. So I spent like $200 more and got a gaming one. And it wasn't the best in the world, but I played it and I was like, this is a little better than a console. It's not amazing, but you got the feature. The big thing back then, I can't believe I'm forgetting this. The reason why they were switching to PC back then is because console didn't have FOV, and you had to play on 80 FOV. There was no slider, so like you'd have people like jumping all around, and they'd break your camera, and you couldn't even see because you're on 80 FOV. But on PC, you could go to 120. That was the big ticket item. That's the exact reason I switched. And I bought that, and you could have 120, but I really wasn't getting, for reference, I think that computer got like 80, 90 frames per second in 1080p. For a console, I mean, it does like 60 back then. So I wasn't like I was doing much better. I just got 120 FOV. But eventually I built up, I invested a little bit more money, and I got a better computer at the time. My buddy too. And I started playing at higher quality, higher frames. I was like, yeah, this is nice. Like going back to console was rough because I had one at the time, but I was like, man, I don't want to play on this. It doesn't have FOV and it doesn't play good. It just doesn't play good like my computer. And it was pretty simple at that point. I played enough. I put enough time to where it was justified to me to spend that kind of money to buy a computer, and it just played the game simply better. And to this day, that's honestly the truth. Don't get me wrong, like streaming is 100% easier on a computer, but the game just plays and looks way better than anything even currently out.
Yeah, I've never played on a game I've played games on a computer, but it definitely wasn't it's probably like what you were describing, the first one you ever had.
Just kind of like a little
like
basic computer,
yeah. I've played games on that, but I've never played no high end like gaming.
Yeah,
computer.
once you get spoilt to that, it's rough. I actually would suggest anyone that listening to this, I wouldn't play on it. I really wouldn't. Not for amount of time, because once you do, you're like, man, what I'm playing on sucks. And that's the truth. Like, I'm not sugarcoating it, because I've had all the consoles and I don't have any kind of like PC master race. Like, I'm not trying to think that I'm just better because PC or whatever, because I've got a nice one. It's just, it sucks. It sucks if I have an Xbox Series X sitting on my table behind me, and it just, when I plug it up and play it, if the game's on PC, I'm like, this is a waste of time for me to play this on Xbox.
I mean, and I've even noticed it with the, I got the PS5 for Christmas for my daughter as a surprise. Completely took me by surprise. But, coming from Xbox One S is what I played on. And then I got the PlayStation 4, which was, I felt like was a step up to
you liked it better?
PS5. Yeah. And then I the other day, I jumped back onto the Xbox. I jumped back onto the Xbox the other day and played like some Xbox, game. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, dude, these graphics are horrible, bro.
Yeah. It's
no, man. It was just PS5 is
the graphics, the frame rate, everything. It ruins it. It really does. It is a ruining experience.
Above. I mean, now Series X and PS5 might be, similar, but I got the S, the old Xbox, the old white Xbox, so mine's like way outdated. So, I mean, that one to the PS5 is night and day.
It's sad because it's a money pit, even on PC now. Like for me, like what I said, I bought that computer. That was what I would consider an entry-level gaming computer. My buddy that I played with at the time had went out and bought a nicer one. And of course, when your buddy's got one, you're like, all right, let me try it, see what it is. And you go over, and he had actually got a 1440p monitor. So the main resolutions that people play video games in, at least nowadays, are 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. That's your three resolutions that people play in. And I was playing in 1080, like 60 frames at like medium settings or low, because I had that cheap computer. And he had got a nice computer, and he got it in 1440p, and he was playing high graphic settings, and he had like 144 frames. And I was like, oh my God, this is night and day. Like, this is insane. I can see people, the gameplay so smooth. Because that difference between 1080p and 1440 was like, man, it's like someone gave me a new prescription. I can actually see now. I was like, oh no, this is going to ruin me. So then you go invest money, you buy a new one. Then that leads into, I need a better monitor. And then once you get that monitor, your frame rate dips because you're playing at a higher resolution and you don't have the money to buy a new graphics card. And it's just it's always a money pit.
Yeah, because I remember when I reached out to you about PCs and I was sending you these ones and you're like, no, man, no, no, man, I wouldn't even bother with that one. I'm like, okay, well, can you help me out and send me some? And then you sent me that link that you sent me or whatever. I'm like, okay, so that's my goal now is to save up towards,
It's always changing. That's the thing, though. It's always changing. Like right now, the new cards that are coming out at the end of this month are the new RTX 50 series cards. And I've actually got currently the best card you can possibly buy on the market for gaming. It's the 4090. It's stupid expensive. I think they retail for like $1,500. I mean, you do the math on that. You can go buy a PS5 right now for $400 and play a game. Everything included. Everything. And the only thing you're buying with a 5090 is the graphics card. So you've got a lot more money to spend before you get into it. And yeah, not everybody. Now that's the best card you can buy. So, I mean, I don't want to say that to scare anybody from buying PCs, but it's just such a different world. People don't realize that. Like, that's why there is a difference, because you're spending like 3-4 times the money on just the graphics card. That's why the games look so much better. I'm not saying justifiable, but that's why.
I used to have a friend of mine. He would always play games on PC. I mean, going back as far as I can remember, I guess whenever gaming PCs became a thing, that's what he always played with. But me and him were talking like recently or whatever, and he was telling me, if I knew what I know now, you can lean either way. You can lean towards having the better quality and, resolutions and frames and all that stuff like that with the PC and spend a whole lot more money. But you lose or you could pick the cheaper version and get the console and stuff like that. He's like, but the only thing is with the versus PC console, in his opinion anyway, is consoles can last for many years
more than
and PC is constantly updating something comes better. For every other couple of years, there's a new graphics card or a new, this or new that.
100%. I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, I've got two things to say about that. The first thing is you need to look at, as a gamer, how much time do you invest in playing? If you're investing and this is something that you do, this is your big hobby, you love playing video games, then I think it's justifiable to buy a PC. If this is something you like to do and you want to put hours into it, go do it. It's awesome. It's the best way to play, hands down, for majority of the games. But when you go to PC, like you're saying, everything's changing. It's not so much that a PC can't last for long like a console. It's just so much that you're used to having the better version of the game you're playing, that when the time comes if you're going to hold on to it for that long, like there's just so many better options, and you're just going to want to spend the money to buy something more. So yeah, you're going to end up spending more money. 100%. It's not like a once and done, because you can't do that with a console. You can't. Could be wrong on this, but I think the only thing you can do currently to any console is just put more storage in it, right? So don't get me wrong. I feel like if Xbox or PlayStation came out and said, hey, if you bought this new $200-$300 device that improves your graphics, do you feel like people would do it? I feel like a lot of them would.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure there's probably some tech-savvy wizards out there that can probably alter the motherboards, stuff like that.
Or do something, but
I don't know how to do any of that.
That's what it comes down to. It's all about, for me, is like I said, it's just how serious are you about this? If this is your hobby and this is something you really like to do, then yeah, I think it's justifiable.
I mean, I've been a gamer pretty much my whole life, so I mean,
I don't suggest anyone that just like, hey, I'm gonna try video games out, let's go blow $4,000 on a computer. Like, no.
But there was this one website I went to where you can like build, you can go up there and pick a case and then all these
there's
parts
a lot of those.
So I just went up there messing around and was picking like top of the line everything. $10,000.
It's very expensive. If you buy top of the line stuff, it is.
I mean, it came up to like $10,000. I'm like, that is crazy.
You buying a spaceship?
I just picked everything the most like. I guess they had them when you click the little thing. from least to highest. I just picked the highest on everything. It was like $10,400 something. I'm like,
I'm sure they was adding on some stuff.
I'm like, dude, that is crazy, bro.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know, right now, but I want to say the most you can spend probably on a PC right now, for my computer at least, which is you really can't get anything faster than what I've got now. It'd probably cost you about like $4,500 ish for like just top of the line. I mean, obviously the 5090s aren't out, so if that comes out, you're looking at probably $5,000. I would say $4,500, $5,000. But I mean, you're comparing that to a $500 console. There's there's a big, but you're talking top of the line though.
Yeah. So what's the lifespan on that though?
I mean,
when did the 4090? When did the 4090 come out versus this new one coming out?
It came out like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, something like that. I mean, realistic, when you say how long is that going to last, it comes down to the games that are coming out in the future. I mean, when they would stop support. I mean, you can have like top of the line card from like, let's say you had a 1080 Ti, which is like probably one of the best cards you could have bought in 2016. You can still use that today and play on it. And I mean, we're talking 10 years old now. So
I guess that's not too
almost. But the price difference back then was way different too. I think a 1080 Ti back then was like, the top of the line card was like $600 or $700, which is insane to think about. Because nowadays the top of the line card's $2,000. The 5090 starts at $2,000.
Well, that's
and back then a 1080 Ti was, like I said, like I want to say somewhere in that $600 to $700 range. And that was the best you could buy.
Okay, and this one will be a controversial for some people, especially the PC world or whatever. Why is it that you play PC but your controller? I know you'll switch over and play keyboard and mouse every once in a while, or whatever, but you're primarily controller.
Because I'm a Call of Duty. Because it comes back to me being a primary Call of Duty player, and Call of Duty, like I said earlier, in my opinion, is a console game. So I grew up over the past almost 20 years playing on console. So you play with a controller, and just me switching to mouse and key just doesn't make any sense. I mean, why would I switch now? And I've played on it, and it's just not natural. It's not. And as you look around, not necessarily in the DMZ space, but if you look at other people that play Call of Duty on PCs, more specifically like the Warzone guys, the multiplayer guys, they majority use a controller. Majority of them do.
So it's just more like a comfortability.
It's just comfortable, and I don't know. I just think the game that Call of Duty specifically is a controller game. Don't get me wrong. Like, you can be good on mouse and key, but I'll tell you this: the top people, what people would consider the best players in the absolute world at Call of Duty, all play on controller, pretty much. Like the top guys.
We recently heard you started up a weapons challenge. Tell us a little bit more about that weapons challenge.
I'll be honest with you, and this is a really sidetrack thing, but early on in my YouTube career, I took a lot of inspiration from Lucci, and it wasn't so much that like I wanted to copy Lucci. I just always really liked the story-based like stuff with making videos, like that type of editing. Anybody knows anything what I'm talking about? Like the story-based, like DMZ is a perfect mode for that. You can create a story that's like unique to that video, like this happened during a game. And I liked editing those videos. And if you go back and look at some of my early videos in DMZ, I had made some that were like that. Obviously, it was early in my YouTube thing, so I didn't know how to edit that well, and it was a lot of learning pains. But I got a lot of comments saying, "Dude, you need to quit. You're copying Lucci. You're a copier." And I was like, I didn't know that Lucci was he had the copyrights to this, but it kind of turned me off because I had a lot of people hating on it. But then I had seen Shubs kind of experiment with it too recently. I was like, man, dude, I really love that. I've got a passion for that. I like that. Even though I don't really do it nowadays, I love those type of videos. And I was like, dude, me and you we need to do a video together. Like, let's do something similar to that. Like, let's do a story video that we could both do together. But we really couldn't come up with anything that would flow well, that would work, where we both could get involved. And I was like, okay, then what can we do? I was like, I like playing with you, Shubs. I was like, let's do something. And it can help my channel, it can help you. That's when we came up with it. I kind of shot him the idea of like, what about this challenge idea I've got, where we give the community a challenge and they have a certain amount of time to do it. We allotted it to a week, And the one we're doing now is 1 week long, and we did the crossbow in DMZ, and you can use anything you want to use on it. And you have to use a clan tag that we picked, LM1. That way, when you hit clips, over that course of the week, you couldn't go back and use old clips, and submit it to a form I made, and we'll go through and like review your clips and maybe show some on stream. And obviously the top pick people are going to be shown on my stream, his stream, and shared. So you'll definitely gain some notoriety from the DMZ community, I would hope, if a couple hundred people are watching, seeing you play. And obviously we, it's our first time, so we couldn't put a lot of money together, but I wanted to do something. So I said, what if I put some money together, me and you, we'll do like a $30 prize for the number one guy. He was like, yeah, that's cool. Let's do it. So
I think it's awesome.
I think it's a great idea. I hope more people get involved. The video I posted really didn't necessarily do that well. It's got like 1,000 views, but I think it's a really cool idea, and I think it gets the community involved together. And when there's not much to do right now in DMZ besides try to just kill each other, like, let's do something, create our own mission, where people get involved, and at least you actually gain something from it. I had someone comment on the video saying $30, like, that's all you're doing. And I was like, well, man, like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but if I pull up your video on my stream and I've got 300 people watching, they're going to see it. They're going to go to your YouTube channel and check you out, like, it'll definitely help.
Yeah.
It's not just about the money. It's cool too.
Yeah, in some ways that's even better than the money, to be honest.
I just wanted to do something. I was like, hey, here's 30, but in the future it'll probably be more. If we can get maybe some crowdfunded thing, we get more people involved. I'd be down to do whatever the prize pool wants to be. Obviously.
So this is going to be a common thing?
Yeah, we want to go forward. As long as we have enough people to do it and participate, I'm down to do it. And I'm down to increase the prize pool a lot. As long as I have people help me with it, if I can get some people to come help together with providing a prize pool, I'm down. And obviously the gun situation, we want to use stuff that's more fun, be kind of unique. Like, I don't want to just put like MP5 or something, just make it kind of fun. We've thrown out some ideas, pistols, explosive snipers, and just something that you don't see every single day. Like, definitely not one-shot shotguns.
Yeah. So now how common is it going to be? Is it like as soon as one ends, you'll have like a judging period?
We haven't talked about it. Obviously, me and him want to go. It really depends on the amount of people that enter. So obviously, if this time, since it's our first one, we don't have as many people enter. I've seen some people going for it. So hopefully I get at least like 5 entries. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know how many we'll have, but we get some entries in there, and obviously it won't take that long to go through 5-10 entries, but if the future we get like 10, 20, 30, it's going to take longer to go through everybody's.
Right.
And kind of make a decision. And I want to get chat's opinion involved too, especially if I've got a couple that are like really good that I like, and me and Chubb are like, dang, these are good clips. Like, let's ask chat, see what they think about it. And, like I said, I think it benefits.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the community challenge that you have?
Monthly, or I was thinking maybe every couple weeks. Yeah. So maybe not like next weekend, but the following weekend we'd come up with the idea and stuff too. Yeah. People say that they're like, Lando, it's too hard. And I'm like, I can't get clips for this. And I'm like, man, it's really, I even gave somebody an idea. I was like, it doesn't need to be hard. Like, to really think about this. I said, imagine if you went and put down 2 prox mines on a road and you shot them with a crossbow and blew up a whole team. Like, that doesn't really take a lot of, skill to do. It would just be more luck, and like, that'd be an awesome clip. Like, just anything. I said, just, man, your imagination run wild. Like, I'm going to go myself and try to make my own video with it. Obviously I can't win, nor do I want to win it. I think it'd be cool just for fun to do. And I've been rocking the clan tag, and I've even killed some people this week with the clan tag. I'm like, man, that's cool seeing that, people are actually trying.
Anytime because I used to use the crossbow pretty much exclusively in multiplayer back in the day. I would run that thing every single game. So I got like really good with it, but I've never really used it inside DMZ but a handful of times. And every time I do get it, I typically do something like that anyway, just some random.
Just something fun. It's a fun gun to use. It really is. It might not be
up in the air across the map and hope to hit somebody.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like some broken, really, really good gun, but it's a fun gun to use. It's fun. People ask me that.
I mean, yeah, build
Use
a
it whatever
you'll
map
see
you
that
want.
down there. Yeah, well, that's a common gun down there.
Yeah,
RPGs, RGLs, crossbows.
I mean, to your point, well, why don't I ask you? What do you? I mean, I'm up for input. We don't have anything locked in. I mean, what's a gun that a lot of people could use that maybe is not just super, super common? You know,
SPR, man,
SPR, that'd be cool. Yeah. A melee one, so maybe like tonfas or combat knives or swords or something. That'd be awesome. Any type of melee like clip would be really cool. I mean, I know one everybody would like, and I know I could get a ton of clips for, and it would be cool. Don't get me wrong, it'd be cool just to see everybody's clips. It would be throwing knife for sure. I mean, they could be some crazy clips in there. I mean, I hit one last night in the air. I jumped off observatory and knifed the dude out of the air.
Yeah, I see you, and I see a couple other guys hit these knives. I'm like, man, this is ridiculous, bro. Like, I remember one night I was watching you. It's probably been a couple weeks ago now, and I was watching it, dude. I'm like, hold up a second, bro. No way. There's no way he could have done that, man. And then you went back. Because I think even you were like, how did I get this?
Yeah.
It was down in a 4-stack or whatever, and there was a dude you had down, and the other guy was rezzing him, and you was in the doorway. You couldn't even see the guy, and you threw the knife, and it ricocheted off the wall.
Off the wall? Yeah, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I
was like, well, when I saw it, I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And then that's when I think you too probably saw that, was like, how in the world did I do that? So then you started throwing it off the wall, and you were like, see, it ricochets off the wall. And I was like, man, I didn't even know it could do that.
Yeah, I knew it could ricochet, but I've never really hit a lot of clips doing that. So that was a new one for me.
Yeah, I was like, man, what are the odds of that happening, bro? Yeah, it's like I made this comment before. I was like, I mean, my throwing knives, like when I hit them, when I hit some impressive throwing knife, I'm like, dude, oh my God, did you see that? And then to somebody like you, Dylan, and all these other guys that are like great with it, that's just a typical throwing knife.
I just throw a lot of them. You know, it's just, you get used to it, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I've hit some okay knives. I mean, I've never hit anything crazy, but I've had a few of them. But I've also missed a lot of them too.
I think you go back to what you said earlier, and it's the absolute truth. People get upset about playing, you know, you'll see people get mad about playing Call of Duty, and you know how that goes. But at least with my platform, I'm like, man, there's so many people out there that are just so less fortunate than me. I mean, I get to sit here and play video games and crack jokes with people, and I mean, and you even see it, and I get to see it too in the chat. Like, people go through things in life that are rough. I mean, obviously I'm diabetic, so I mean, some nights aren't the best for me, and some days aren't great. But I mean, some people out there, you know, you don't know what's going on in their life. You know, they could have lost someone, or something crazy happen, and just for them to sit down and watch you play and crack a joke, like, it's crazy how much you can change someone's life by doing something so simple. Like I said, I mean, I know it's a really simple saying, but it really is the truth. Like, there's no reason to be upset and get mad. And big thing for me is, like, I just look forward to hopefully making someone's night by playing with a clown hair on and blowing the horn. And, you know, you just don't know what they're going through, man. And it's just crazy that people take stuff so serious.
Yeah, I mean, coming from, you know,
the situations that I've gone through, I mean, I've definitely come into your stream and may have been in a bad mood, or, you know, felt down or depressed or whatever like that, and just, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of being there and interacting with you and interacting with the chat and everything like that. I'm laughing, I'm joking, you know. I mean, you know, and I appreciate that. I can't speak for the rest of everybody else, but I know there's a lot of other people that also
There's a lot of people that have messaged me on Discord saying the exact same stuff.
I mean, so, you know, it's awesome that there's somebody like you out there that, you know, does what you do.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that. Like, I think they completely overlook it. Like, they just think of, and I understand why. They think, well, what do you do, Lando? I'm like, well, I'll play video games and stream it to people. Like, and they're like, are you really good? I'm like, no, not really. I just kind of play. And, you know, you build your own audience, and it's like, man, it's not about just being really good. It's just like, what about that that hospitality? What about your personality feature? Like, what can you bring to someone other than just video games? Because Call of Duty, I mean, might be around for a while, but DMZ is not going to be here forever. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. And that's the truth. It is what it is. I mean, you know, and that goes for any aspect you want to look at it as. You can say life, you can say that stream, that game, that minute. And it's just what it is. Like 1 minute you're on top of cloud 9 because you throw a knife to dude off the top of high rise and you're screaming, clown hair, horns blowing. And the next minute you're getting one pumped in the corner. It is what it is, but we try to have a good time regardless. It is, you know, and that goes, like I said, back to anything you want to apply it to. Use it. Go for it. Yeah. That's the truth. I mean, I really hope people are look at that, man. I think it'd help them out a lot.
Well, again, I mean, I don't want to speak for other people, but I can only speak for myself. And, you know, I appreciate what you do for the community as a whole. You know, you're always willing to help out the small guys and uplift everybody and keep everybody entertained and laugh and all that stuff like that. You don't really take everything too seriously, you know, and I'm grateful for that. You know, that's why I have tuned into you for as long as I've tuned into you. There's some people that I support. I try to support everybody, but, you know, some people I don't watch like I do with other people, and you're by far I think I even had this year at the end of the year they sent you that thing out.
Yeah, the
Lando
YouTube like rewind or whatever.
yeah. You were my number one, so I'm like, hey, that's crazy. But yeah, I'm grateful for it. So I mean, I'm sure I know personally a lot of other people that are as well.
Oh yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's fun.
Lando, we want to thank you for being part of the show today.
Oh yeah, I like I said, I enjoyed it. We'll get back on here at some point. Maybe we'll go over some new things. Maybe the future of DMZ. It'd be kind of cool if they ever come out with something new.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you, Lando.
Yep.
And if you haven't already, go and subscribe to It's Lando. You can find his information in the link below, description below.
Later.
Peace.
Wrap it up, let's keep it real. Another chapter close, another chance to heal. The journey's just starting, got miles to go. And every step we're taking is part of the show. Whether it's highs or lows, the laughs or pain, we're all just learning to dance in the rain. But this ain't goodbye, it's a see you soon. Together we're chasing that next tune. So don't overthink it, just let it flow. Life's a wild ride, we're all here to grow. Keep coming back, there's so much to see. Together we're stronger, just wait and see. Every story shared, every lesson learned builds a fire in us, keeps that passion burned. We're here to lift, to laugh, to inspire. And in each episode, we take it higher. You got dreams to chase, mountains to climb. So here's your reminder, you're right on time. Whatever life throws, just keep moving on. You're never alone, together we're strong. So breathe in deep, feel the fire inside. You're not just watching this life, you're along for the ride. When doubts creep in, remember this sound. It's all part of the journey, don't let it bring you down. Don't overthink it, let it all flow. Step by step, that's how we grow. Keep coming back, cause there's more to find. Together we're building that state of mind.